Hello everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of KoitCast. KoitCast! Today's guest is David Firth, a well-known animator from Leeds in the UK. Now, David is well known for animations such as Salad Fingers and Burnt Face Man. So, without further ado, a massive welcome to David Firth. How are you, mate? You alright?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks. I was expecting there'd be some fake applause then, you know.
Oh, hey, I could put that in post and I'll cut this bit out so it will be there. I'll do sort of big fanfare music and stuff. So I'm going to start off with an about you section. So in your own words, what's been your journey through life to get you to this point? You can be as brief or you can be as extensive as you want. So what took you from A to now?
I tried to... I should have prepared for this one. My aim is to do what I want when I want, and as often as I want, and just kind of out of sheer luck, it's my favourite thing to do. So if I was unemployed and I didn't get paid for this, then I'd probably still be doing it, and instead of looking for a job. So luckily, what I do for fun is my job. And that's how I've guided myself through this. If something seems like it could be lucrative but not much fun, then I'll probably avoid it. And, you know, as a result, not a multimillionaire. But
well, me neither. But
yeah, but I always think the opportunity to be a millionaire may have poked itself, kind of gone over here, possibly, and I'll be like, yeah, but it seems like it would be kind of soul crushing. So. I'm not saying anyone's ever said, John, £1,000,000 to advertise our product, but if I would have gone down the alley of the avenue of commercial, big money, soulless work, then I probably could be quite rich by now, I reckon.
Yeah, I certainly think compared to myself, you've had more potential to earn. But I think I got some topics later on that we'll cover that will go into that finances wise, especially in relation to things like YouTube and stuff. But about yourself on a personal level, obviously you've been an animator for a good number of years now. What did you used to do prior to animating, or did you literally just go straight from early life into it?
Yeah, pretty much straight from early life into it. When I was a kid, it was more about access to tools that I didn't have. No one had a video camera. That was an amazing, if someone had a video camera then, they were cool, and they must have been rich or something, because I didn't have a video camera. I didn't have a stills camera. I didn't have a computer. It was just, I had an NES. You couldn't make something. On a Super Nintendo, you could use Mario Paint, so that was pretty cool. To me, Mario Paint was high-end software, so that's where I came from. And so as soon as I had access to tools to make animation, then I was making it. And before it, I think I was just thinking about it, I was wishing. And I used to watch this TV show with Rolf Harris, Rolf's Cartoon Club, where he had little kids. I know
the one you mean, yeah.
Yeah, little kids would be using all these tools, making animations, and I'd just be thinking, they must be the luckiest kids in the world. I want to make animation. So
yeah, and I heard on another interview actually you said your first foray into the animation world was to do the flip books from Rolf Harris Cartoon Club.
Yeah.
I also did the same thing. I remember doing that. And great fun to be had with that at that time, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you were if your parents were, behind this and willing to give you £2, you could have got one of those little Post-it notebooks.
Yes, and I made my own randomly enough. I cut down a shitload of A4 paper and just made
that's
staples,
it. Even that was quite, you were quite lucky to get hold of a Post-it notebook to.
Very much so.
Yeah, so that's, I don't know what it must feel like to have all the tools quite kind of freely available to you. I don't know, would I even be animating if that was the case? I don't know. Maybe I'd be doing something else.
Part of me thinks, right, if you're given all the tools immediately to just, there you go and do everything, does that give you the drive then to get to that high-end position? because for me, it's like drip feed, isn't it? You do bits, you excel at it, or what you think is excel, and then you move on to the next part and get something new, and then excel at that.
Yeah, like
Do you think the same?
absolutely. Because I remember even when I first made animation, there was another obstacle was sound. Like I couldn't put sound on afterwards. I used to make animation with a camera, and I would take one frame at a time. It was a video camera, but you could take a single frame. You'd have to be
Yeah.
really quick with the button. You have to turn it on, turn it off, really quick, and it would take one frame. And then, but it would also capture audio. So I would do the sound effects for each frame. So if it was someone being killed, I'd be like, oh, and I'd do that. And it would kind of come out like, and it'd be this like weird like collection of very short clips of me screaming. And I had no way of putting that. Like I was, again, dreaming about the day where I could use some sort of editing software to like put sound on afterwards.
I know, and you look at it today, what everyone has in relation to the internet and all the free tools available. Are you a bit envious of what people have now compared to what you had back then?
No, because I've got them. Like,
Fair enough.
another thing I wanted to do when I was a kid was make video games, and I had no idea how to go about it. And nowadays, you could get a free Unreal Engine and just start making them. If I was a kid, I'd probably do that. But now I'm just like, well, you know, I'm 40. I'm not going to be able to learn Unreal Engine to a level that I want to learn it. I'll be like, 60 by the time I'm like at a position where I can comfortably do that without. I think it takes a long time to learn stuff, especially for me. And
Yes, I agree. And then you get to the point where, I mean, I've used Flash for God knows how long, and I'm never going to probably move on for it because I'm stuck in my ways. I know what I'm used to.
yeah,
Are you on the same train?
absolutely. As well, as well as we're using Flash, and you just like, I'm facing bugs that I was facing in 2004 using Flash, and they're still there.
Yeah.
And like where you draw the circle and it just fills it in, and you're just like, I didn't want to fill it in.
Yes.
Or you're drawing a line, and then it just decides that is now an eraser and wants to delete all the.
Yeah, all the content inside. Yeah, I've had that many times. It's annoying.
I remember when you used to do that. There was one version of Flash where you did that, and if you did then undo, it would crash Flash. So
I probably had that version.
Yeah.
Because not long back, I only upgraded to Flash CS4, I think. And that just shows you the level I'm working on.
yeah, don't upgrade to. Yeah, I think the perfect one was Flash before they switched over to the 64, because it was like 32 or x86, like Windows, the previous Windows architecture, and it was really quick, real time. And now there's like a slight delay when you're picking a color and stuff, and it's really noticeable when you used to like being able to do things really quick and then pick a color. Now there's just a very slight delay. It's like, how has it got worse? It's not got any more complex. How has it got worse?
Oh, you tell me, mate. So, when did you release your first ever online creation, I'll say? Because obviously, all your stop motion stuff and that with your camera, that's donkey's years before the internet. But digitally, when was your first creation?
It's hard to say, really, because I was making stuff in, I'd say 99. I was making stuff. That was when I was first making stuff digitally. Like, again, another flashback to the 90s was not having the internet and having a friend come round with a CD that was full of utilities.
Yes, I know what you mean.
It'd be called like Diamond Utilities or something. Everything would be spelt wrong, but it'd have like just a really random collection of software. It'd have like Word 98 or something, Office, and then I remember one of them had this random video editing software in it. It's called ULED Media Studio Pro. And inside that was something called Video Paint, and it was the first time I'd ever had proper animation software. And also, you could do everything with the software. It had an audio editor, and it had a video editor where you could put it all together, and a video paint, and even I think quite a rudimentary sort of like paint shop, like Photoshop paint shop type thing. All in one software. And so I made a cartoon with that in about 99, I think. And I don't remember. Putting it online was kind of a bit touch and go then, because there's no like actual YouTube type site to upload it to. You had to upload it to your own web space and put it on your own website. And the free web space was generally capped at about 5 to 10 meg. So you had to compress it down to 5 to 10 meg. And then embed it in your own website, and then get people to go to it. So And in
Yes, all
terms
these
of
problems sound familiar.
yeah, in terms of putting it online, I technically probably did put it online in 2000, but I imagine it would have been removed pretty quickly by like because they were very strict on what you could upload. And if you happen to be uploading files that people were downloading without like going to your website or something, then they'd be like, this one's had 20 downloads already, and the website's not got any hits. So I think they're
So,
just using it as web space, and it gets taken down.
so what was that animation? Anything that has not yet seen the light of day?
Oh no, they've all seen the light of day, but have been since removed from the internet for being horrifically terrible and unfunny.
Fair enough.
But
I
it
did
was,
one myself. I think my first ever one was in 2004, maybe. It was utter shite, and I've never ever put it online. I think it's even lost. So, you know.
yeah. I didn't even like consider that I was an animator when I was making them. It was more like, it was like now if I'd made a website or a video game or something, I wouldn't consider myself a game developer. I would just be,
A
just
person doing.
a guy that's made a stupid game that you might find, 5 minutes of fun in, and then go on your way. So,
But presumably you see yourself as an animator now.
yeah, kind
Hopefully.
of. Yeah, kind of.
It's a weird thing, isn't it? I imagine you don't ever strike me as someone who's got ego.
No, unfortunately, I think again that's another obstacle to success there.
Yes. I know
Not
what
a
you
big
mean.
enough, not a big enough ego to make.
To push yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm exactly the same, so I 100% know what you mean. Okay, so in relation to your animations, the music, I'm interested in the music side of things because it's what I do a lot of. What's the story with the music in your animations? Do you do it or does someone else do it? What's the score?
Well, I do it now. There was a very kind of pivotal moment in my animation career, and it was about
Yeah.
like I've been making music probably longer than I've been making animation, or about the same maybe, because I remember being about as bad at music as I was at animation, so I wasn't sure which I was going to do because I don't have any background in music though. Like I didn't even do it at school. That wasn't a subject I chose at school because it always seemed to be focused on musicals, and I really hated musicals. So I just kind of moved away from that. I was like, I'd do art, but I started making music, like sampling music, because I was really inspired by the Chemical Brothers and Fatboy Slim, and like how they would make an entire song out of samples. So I'd be like, right, I'm going to go into my dad's CDs and dad's old records or whatever, just record bits of all of them and make songs from samples. So I started doing that, and that was just a bit of fun, but I never thought that was like ever going to be a soundtrack. And then I was making animations, and I found that like ambient music was the best for soundtracks because it didn't get in the way of all the vocals and stuff like that. And then I think the pivotal moment was when I was trying to use this music by this guy called Lust Mode, and it was like dark ambient music, and I had to ask permission, and he gave permission, and I just thought, I mean, it doesn't sound very complicated. It's just kind of like a sort of like dark. It's like that can't be that complicated to do. Like it's just, and why would I like be in potential legal trouble for using Brian Eno's music, which again is just a very simple kind of drone. It's like surely I could create that myself somehow. So that was like the pivotal moment for making ambient music. It was like I could be, avoiding potential legal troubles or potential situations where I'm not able to monetize my work because it's got this very simple ambient drone in, which surely I could make my own of. So that was it. I started making my own music based on the fact that I didn't want to like be in potential legal trouble, because early internet, no one gave a shit about what music you could use. You'd use Metallica if you wanted. No one would care. And then all of a sudden, content detection software started appearing, and it was like, oh, you're using this music. You could get sued now, or you could get it demonetized. It's like, well,
yeah,
damn.
sod that.
Yeah, it's time I started making my own music, so I could. It wasn't actually monetization online because that wasn't really much of a thing back then. It was more like I want to sell this on DVD eventually, and thinking that the DVD would still be around now. And I just thought it's going to be such a nightmare trying to get Brian Eno and Aphex Twin and all this to sign off on this music. And it probably is going to cost me like 20 grand just to clear these samples. I might as well just try and make it myself. So yeah, and tried to make it myself. I don't think that the music I make is as powerful as what I would be using by Aphex Twin or Brian Eno, but
Yeah, but it is though, because
well, it is in a
you look at
way.
your animations, right? The music so complements your visuals that they are so inextricably linked. Yeah, it could be you call it a professional musician over there making your same soundscapes. That's how good it is compared to the visuals.
Well, what I always think is that with ambient music, it is actually really easy to make ambient music. I never make any like claims that there's anything technical going on. That like if I make a track like with beats and stuff, that might take me 2 weeks or something to make it to complete it, or I keep going back to it. But an ambient track you can do in 1 day because it's just generally just one sound really, and it's an ambient. And you might have like a background sort of whirl, sort of drone or something. I think the difference is I don't need to go through like 15 ambient albums to find the right sound anymore. I just kind of go, oh well, that would need to be like a minor chord there. I'll just play that minor chord or whatever. And so it's much easier, it's much quicker to actually compose your own music if you've got, if you've actually built, if you've got like a template that's got all the reverb and all the instrument there straight away, and you're just like, right, well, I can just compose straight into that. It's actually quite easy once you've got it set up. So
no, I do things similarly in templates. It's obviously that's what we do if we want to crank out stuff quickly. So on the musical thing, there's 2 things linked to this. Obviously, you said you now do the music yourself, and you presumably do all the animation yourself, or have you got anyone else that contributes to your stuff at all?
I will ask people. Okay, so I do have a go-to sound guy when I want to do something which has got a really nice, like more a sort of richer atmosphere when it comes to sound effects. I've got a friend who does it professionally, and I can commission him to do that. Often I just want to put stuff out quickly, so if it's not a big release, then I'll just do it myself because I've got sound effects lying around from going back 20 years. So there's probably enough there. And if it's just like an impact, then I'll just record it on my microphone. But so I call upon a sound guy. I actually do have there's a friend of mine who makes really beautiful piano music, and that's not something I do. And sometimes I want that. So I have, collaborated with him before, although he's already made the music often, and I will just put it on my animations. But so that's another area where I will collaborate. I sometimes need voice actors that are out of my range. Like if I can do it in my range, then fair enough. But I'm never going to convincingly sound like a female voice, so I might as well.
I've seen you do it. It's funny.
It is funny, but sometimes
more to it, I think.
Sometimes I don't want to hear my voice constantly. I want to hear someone else's voice. It just adds another element to it. So
no, that makes sense, especially if you've got a long animation with a shed load of different characters. Yeah, that makes sense.
If I hire a voice actor, it'll be because someone is either really funny and good at delivering lines. My friend who often, I will always try and get him to deliver some lines for me, and or a female voice actor. Actually, I always I kind of wish I had like an old guy on call, because there's a certain texture to an old person's voice that just I can try and fake it, but it's never going to be the real thing. And there's something like if I had like a Stephen Fry just hanging around, like it'd be good.
Have you not? No, I
can't. No, Stephen Fry's knocking around here, or David Attenborough or something. I don't know if he's going to be.
You need some gravitas from an old guy locked in your basement.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have got one, haven't you? A basement.
No, I don't. But if I did have a David Attenborough, I'd be. I think I'd be worried at this point. I'd be like really careful, because he's about 99, isn't he now? So you're gonna keep him going.
That's it. He can't survive on just bread and water anymore. He has to have more nutrients.
Yeah.
So, in relation to your animation, then, the backgrounds, the characters, the movement, everything is you.
Well, I mean, sometimes I pull things from photos. That's a good.
Oh yeah,
that's a good thing. But yeah,
that's just texture.
collage. It's just collaging, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now Google image search can quite easily be replaced by artificial intelligence.
Have you used any? Have you?
Yeah, I've been messing around with it, and the way I do it is, the way I see it is replacing stock photos.
Photos, yeah.
Yeah, because I hate stock photos, and I hate the companies that fill Google image search with their stock photos, so you can't find actual photos. They're all just stock photos. What I really hate is that fake stock video. Everything's always in a sunset. It's always a sunset. It's always in slow motion. It's always like a really good-looking girl getting out of a car or something in slow motion, and her hair's blowing. And I don't know, it just doesn't look real. I was looking for.
Can you
stock...
link me to that video? I want to have a research later on.
yeah. It's just, but you see it in a lot of YouTube videos. People like fill the YouTube videos out with stock footage.
With tat, and then talk over it.
Yeah, for their video essays, which everyone does these days.
Yeah, sod that. Which parts of the animation process do you find the most pleasurable? Is it the music, the idea, or the actual work itself?
There's so many short, enjoyable parts, and then long, drawn out, unenjoyable parts. I'd say my favorite is the idea. I've got too many of those, and I'll never get around to animating them all.
What have you got to keep them in? Just here, or a book, or pieces of paper dotted about? How do you do it?
If I've got an idea good enough, then I make sure I write it down in two places, because I'm going to lose that. Actually, what I do as well, I've got books. I've got, let me see if I can, got a book to hand. Well, they're further away than my arms can reach, so that's it. There are none in this sort of radius.
And your arms don't extend that long these days, no?
Yeah. Well,
come on, stretch.
Really. Yeah, I mean there are some, but they're about that further than my arm will reach. So, but yeah.
So the idea is what really drives you, yeah.
Yeah. And then when I'm looking through my books, I like to read through my old books. And then when I find an idea that I like, I just write it as a latest one. So then, like, sometimes there'll be an idea that'll appear like 5 or 6 times, and it's just because I keep finding it and thinking, oh, it's buried, so I'll write it again at the. So if you were ever to read my books, you'd be like, oh God, this guy's really repetitive. But it's only because like I know I'm going to lose it. I know I'm going to lose all my stuff. And memory, you cannot. No, there's no chance. I forgot what I did yesterday. So.
I'm on the same train again as you, my friend. If I don't write things down or record it into my phone or a dictaphone, it's gone. So, got to keep it.
What's good about having a bad memory is like sometimes you read something back and you forget writing it, so then you find it funny. You're just like, hey, who wrote that? That's a good one.
I have this very thing for you later on as a question on that basis that is basically going to be that answer. So we might skip it, but there we go. So as part of your work process, because obviously, well, people may not know who watch this, animation takes a shitload of time. All right, you can have the idea, you can plan out, and that's relatively quick. But doing the work is tedious and takes many, many, many hours. During those hours of work time, are there any podcasts or is it music that you listen to? What gets you through that process?
Yeah, podcasts. It's got to be something quite boring though. I like podcasts about new technology. I think that's quite interesting and boring at the same time. Like it'll be someone talking about some sort of quantum computer or something. I find it's background noise, and I don't fully understand it, so I don't need to engage with it, and it can just sort of like amble on in the background. Music's okay, but I find what music does is it distracts me, and I'll find it'll be like 2 hours later and I'll have opened my own music software and I'll be dicking around with something thinking, why am I doing this now? And it's because something in a song has inspired me to go back to an old song that I've made and tinker with something. So I find that if it's a subject I know nothing about, then I will be happy to just let it dribble on in the background. Again, sometimes I watch films as well, but they've got to be ones that I don't need to pay attention to.
You'll have a film in the background. That is
I
dangerous.
put a film on.
Whoa.
Something that I don't need to pay attention to though. It cannot be a foreign film because I'll have to keep looking over for the subtitles. Like it's got to be something like there's a certain level of film, like probably a comedy film, probably not a recent comedy film, something from like the early 80s, like Caddyshack or something. Like that is perfect because I don't need to look at it. It's not that great that I'm like, whoa, and I'm laughing. It's just kind of nice in the background. So there's a certain genre and an era of films that will work perfectly for me animating, and early 80s comedy.
That surprises me on the films because if it were me doing that, that would distract the living shit out of me.
Well, that's it. It does. If you choose the wrong film, then it'll distract you. But if it's a film that's like for example, Team America was quite a good one because I don't think it's even that great. I think it's quite good. It's not as good as South Park. If it's South Park, I'll fully pay attention to the episode. But Team America, I'm just happy for it to just bubble along in the background.
Especially the puke scenes. I don't want to look at those anyway.
Yeah, you can get it from without even looking at it. You know, you get the gist of it. So there's a certain level. The Simpsons is fine, but then I probably will start watching it because I really like the Simpsons. Wow. So yeah, there's things you can put on in the background, but you gotta plan ahead. And I don't like paying for streaming services. So I have to find them by other means.
No, fair enough. Obviously, Salad Fingers is your pièce de résistance, unless you think something else is. But it's what really drove people to you. As an audience, I suppose. It was your big thing. Let's blast through basic stuff about Salad Fingers. What prompted the idea, all that shenanigans. How many episodes he's got, and then I want to know about. In fact, let's just start with that, and I'll add the other question on. So, Salad Fingers, give us a backstory on him, if you will.
I try and I know that. So the phrase "salad fingers" came from it was a name given to me for when I was playing guitar once by my friend Christian. He just said, "You got salad fingers." That was it. I was I can reach for my guitar. I'm not going to play anything, but I'm going to show you.
You can play something if you want.
Nah, I can't. I'm not that good, but I'm more of a. But that was what I was doing. I was in a C chord.
No,
See, and I don't know. Maybe I was quite early to guitar at that point, so I might have been bending my fingers kind of weird.
It does look very much iceberg lettucey, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm thinking that. I don't know if is that salad fingers? To me,
no.
that is salad fingers. It was a C chord on an acoustic guitar. Salad fingers.
Has he ever claimed any royalties off you for that?
We have collaborated on various projects, some which he received the money for, and some which I received the money for.
No, I just thought, would he say to you, right, I gave you that bloody name, so therefore you owe me?
He was involved in the first era of Salad Fingers that was in no way profitable. So, that's the thing. It takes years to make any kind of money off that sort of thing. But at the same time, we were doing Devo, and obviously he was Devo. He was the the chav sort of rapper guy, and we made some music from Devo, and it was always kind of agreed, I'm the Salad Fingers guy and he's the Devo guy, and we help each other, but in the end it's they were our sort of separate projects.
Can you I'll be ignorant here. Well, I am ignorant to Devo. Can you?
Okay, that's
Devo,
interesting.
It's just a lot of his things.
Some people know it and some people don't. But in 2004 to 2007 or 8, we would release these things called Devo, and it was a sort of satirical thing. It was following this guy around, and he was a sort of chav, hoodlum, and he would kind of go around the street, and he's basically just sort of talk to the camera, and there was always a question of, is it real? But we actually started this in 2004 before Salad Fingers, and we didn't think anyone would ever think it was real, and then we put it up on my website by the time Salad Fingers came out, people had started going back to Devo and started like asking questions like, "Who was this guy? Where was this guy? Where did you find him?" And it's like,
So it's a real video.
there's a video, yeah. There's videos. There's a video series.
This up.
Oh well, they're not. There was a reason they're not online anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, they are uploaded by someone else, but not my uploads.
I'll still look for it.
Yeah. Look for it. You will find it. But the also look up why it's not online anymore. There's a newspaper, Sun newspaper article that kind of goes into that. Don't we really want to go to that? But
no, that's fine. I guess where that's going, it's probably some sort of cancellation bullshit. That
yeah. It kind of affected his personal
that's a shame.
life, which was unfortunate, and we just kind of like avoid the subject mostly.
Okay, fair enough.
But so we were doing that, and we were doing Salad Fingers, and neither of them were really lucrative at the time. The only way I could make money off of Salad Fingers was selling the t-shirts. And so there's always been this issue of like people will be like, "Oh wow, you must have got really rich off Salad Fingers." Like, not really. Like, it's really hard to make money off a free cartoon of which you sell t-shirts for, but most of the t-shirts sold are like fake ones on eBay, and eBay don't even want to know about it. You try and take them down, they're just like, who? What? What's a t-shirt?
They're not going to care, are they?
Yeah. They'll be like, there's no way you can prove that that's yours. It's like, yeah, there is. And they'll be like, what? What did you say? It's like, oh, the t-shirts. Who? What t-shirts? What's a t-shirt? And you'd be like, the t-shirts, the ones that you're selling t-shirts that have got my logo on. I'd be like, oh yeah, but there's no way you could prove that they're yours. And it'd be like, you prove it to them. They'll be like, who are you again?
Yeah, they don't
What?
care. No.
So
they're gonna also keep it online for a while to keep the bloody money coming in, aren't they?
Yeah.
Cut.
And underneath it, it'll say like 9,000 sold, and you're just like,
yeah, you bastards.
yeah.
I suppose then, in a way, because for me, I've always had a full-time job in the background, but it's you doing this animation as your job, so to speak. I can appreciate that would piss you off more.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
It pissed me off even more if I had a full-time job as well, because I'd be like, I want to get rid of this fucking job so I can start making and making stuff full-time. I was actually a full-time university student when I started doing it, and I was just like, right, one of these has got to go. And unfortunately, it's the one that I'm paying for, not the one that's paying me. It was not until I started actually making some money that I decided that I could leave university, because I think I was well aware that I was only at university because I quite enjoyed the social aspects of it, and learning, and also living away from home.
What were you studying?
Well, I started doing TV and film design. That's what it was called. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen, because they weren't teaching us to make TV shows. They weren't. We never used film, and I don't know what we were designing.
So what was it then? Just theory?
It was some weird, like, abstract art course where we had three tutors, and none of them seemed to really. It's like they almost cared, but they didn't care. They were sort of like purposefully distant at the same time as vague and confusing and mostly annoying.
Let's be fair, they're probably just people in a job like me and you. They just went to work to get their money to go home and live.
Yeah, I think
That's why.
I think they'd all attempted at some point in their lives to be filmmakers, and they were somewhat bitter that it hadn't worked out for them, and especially one of them, who acted like, imagine a Gordon Ramsay of film, except Gordon Ramsay's got like some of the best restaurants in the world. Or some of the, he's got some Michelin star restaurants, and these guys did not have anything to back up their attitude, really. So it's just like they almost enjoyed just talking down to everyone and shitting on your ideas.
Exactly. That's their way of getting back at life, isn't it?
Yeah. So I would even show them my animations. I was actually making animations at that point, and they were just like. I remember the first day of term, they told us these are three things to avoid in your work: horror, comedy, and sex. And I'm just like,
Yeah. No.
does a pervert count as sex? I mean, does a guy
He
wanking? Does a guy knocking one out in a bush count as sex?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, it's like, well, yeah, I don't think we're going to get along here. So I sort of went along with it just because it was, I didn't want to quit. I was actually having a lot of fun at university. I just didn't really. So I was doing animation in my spare time. I didn't pass. And then they rang me up in the summer and said, do you want to come back? And I'll be like, can I change the course to animation? Because I was doing salad fingers at that point. I'd actually made a salad fingers already, and it was getting huge response online. And then I get this phone call saying you've failed your first year of university. You can come back and do some more work if you want over the summer. And I was just like, well, can I just change course to animation? And they were like, well, we still get money for that, so yeah, you can do.
Oh, Christ.
So I changed course and then.
You passed that?
No, I did that for about 3 months, and I was like, I need to stop this so I can make salad fingers full time, because I'm making, I'm making money, and I don't want to be spending money. So.
And to be fair, then presumably you think you made the right decision.
Yeah, that could have been the worst decision ever. Like, it could have been. I just look at people today who are like the biggest thing in the world, and then you haven't even heard of them like a year later. I feel like the internet was a bit, younger at that point, and internet celebrities or internet fame. I thought, well, I'm getting all the hits now, so I'll get all the hits forever. And
It doesn't work like that, does it? Think of any musician you know. There's ups and downs.
Yeah, but then you also think about like Aerosmith or whatever, and you just think, well, they don't even release anything ever, and they're still like really famous, and they've only got like one song that everyone knows, and it's awful.
And which one's that?
Everything I do. No, that's Bryan Adams. I do it for you. It's all the same though. Rock ballads. They're all. I don't like them. But they're the ones that people pay for.
19 weeks at number one.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that. Aerosmith. I don't know how long they were there. Is there any scene that you've made for Salad Fingers animation that's really creeped you out when you watched it back?
No.
Nothing.
No.
That's cool. See, sometimes I do stuff for mine and I watch it back and I think, Christ, that's weird. Or it makes me really laugh at a specific thing, and I think, Christ, I've weirded myself out, and you don't do that at all.
No. I think there are things I've done in other projects where I've just been like, that was just intentionally edgy. But I don't think I've ever done that with Salad Fingers. I think Salad Fingers is always quite innocent for me. I always see it as innocent and accidental when he does something horrible. But I don't find him creepy at all. But yeah, I'm trying to think.
No, that's fair enough. That's the answer. I was watching one of those episodes the other day when he dug that chap up who was from the Great War.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the visuals of that and the scenario, it's creepy as shit. But I imagine it's just the vocals and how he talks to that corpse is what makes it then not creepy, presumably.
Yeah, to me that's funny. Like when he's flirting with the corpse,
I agree, by the way.
That's comedy.
It is comedy.
People like usually Americans get especially confused when something funny happens in it. They're just like, this is serious. Why was that? I remember one comment saying this one wasn't as good as the last one. It wasn't as creepy, and somehow I even found it funny. And I'm just like, it's a comedy, It's a comedy series. Like, did you not get that it was comedy before? People actually argue as well in the comments about, no, it's not funny. It's not a comedy. It's making a serious point. It's a sad tale. It's like, to me, it's comedy.
Of course it is. You put on it what your intention is when you make the bloody thing. People always ascribe their intentions to your work. Intentions to your work. On a similar line then, here's a line I'll always remember, right, from one of your cartoons, which is, I had to write it down because I knew I wouldn't remember at this bloody point. You there, are you a crime in all? A crime in all? A criminal? That one from Burnt Face Man.
Yeah.
That is makes me laugh to this bloody day. That line, right? It's one of the only lines I think in any cartoon that I've ever watched that stayed with me. Is there any line of dialogue within your stuff that makes you laugh to this day?
No, my own stuff doesn't make me laugh. That's why it's hard for me to. It does when I'm writing it. No, that's why it's really hard to edit your own work, because you're not sure if it is funny because you don't laugh, because it doesn't take you by surprise. But you know it might be clever, but clever isn't necessarily funny. And I don't really write jokes with a setup and a punchline.
That's what you think, but you do though.
Well, kind of, but not in the same way where I look at, like where Edinburgh Fringe Festival, they produce they publish the top jokes of the Edinburgh Fringe, and they're always like clever play on words sort of jokes. And I'm just like, stuff, yeah. I don't ever do anything like that. I can't think of stuff like that. And if I do, it's someone's already thought of it before then. So, I don't know if anything's funny or not. I just kind of hope it is.
See, I'm not saying you're wrong, because clearly that's what's in your head, right? So that's right for you. But for me, your scripts show a clever design of comedy, yeah? Because you set something up and then twist it at the end, right? Which is a similar thing to what I do in my animations. You twist this, whatever, the subversions or whatever it's called. I can't remember the exact phrase. So when you're watching your stuff back, you never think, oh, that was bloody funny at all. Or do you never watch your stuff back?
I do. I mean, I watch it back when I'm making it constantly, because mostly what I have to do is trust that it was. There is a point where I know that it's funny, and that's before I've made it. And when I've made it, all I have to do is ensure that it's coming out the way it was in my head in the first place, which there's a system of trusting that you were right in the first place, and then kind of having to go through with it all the way to the end, because a 90% finished cartoon is like nothing close to a finished cartoon. So you can't even watch it back and go, it's great so far. Like, it has to be like the final touches are what kind of make it a cartoon that works. So you have to just switch off your brain that says this is terrible.
Hold on a sec. My brother trying to ring me. Swine.
In my early days, like, I would get halfway through a cartoon, I think this is terrible, and I would stop.
Yeah. So I'm just turning my phone off.
That's because I hadn't trained myself to know that it was going to work out all right. Like, you gotta have some sort of confidence in yourself that it's going to work out all right. And up until that point, I don't know. I feel like you got to do the voices pretty quickly so that the idea you don't lose the idea. So I don't know. Yeah, when I'm watching it never makes me laugh.
Because is that because of the process? So that, like, you've watched it once, it's very funny. Second time, it's moderately funny. Third time, it's is it that?
Yeah, I think so. Like t-shirts with funny phrases on. Like, there's no such thing as a t-shirt with funny phrase on, I think, because the first time you see it is the funny time, and then every time after that, it's annoying as hell.
Yeah.
It's the same with adverts. I used to think there's no such thing as a funny advert, because the first time you see the advert, it's quite funny, and then every time after that, you're just sick of it and you never want to see it again. And maybe I'm different from everyone else, but to me, things are only funny once, and then they're not funny anymore.
I bet you there's a shitload of people out there that think exactly like you. I mean, I'm similar to you in a lot of respects, but that one I'm not, because sometimes I'll watch stuff back that I haven't seen of my stuff for ages, and then all of a sudden I get caught out by something that was really funny in there that I've forgotten.
Yeah, forgetting's good. I like forgetting. That's why I really like the fact that I forget things, because then I can watch, like, Simpsons episodes from the 90s, and I've forgotten like 90% of the jokes in it, and they can't take me by surprise again. So that's... Like, I can watch something of mine maybe 5 years old and I might laugh at it because I've forgotten what was in it. But because I spend so much time making something that it's really hard to forget the details of it. That's why it's good to get someone else to do a voice or two, because then their delivery might catch me off guard, and
I know.
And I'll find funny.
Cool. let's talk a little bit about technology. So what tools do you use? You obviously presumably still use Flash.
Yeah, I still use a bit of Flash. Sometimes I'm pleasantly surprised by little features that have been added to Flash that have made things a little bit easier. But in terms of, I feel like it's a very, it could be a lot lighter, that software. It could be one of those apps that you open and it's just open instantly and everything's just perfect. But these days it feels kind of bulky. It feels kind of, for some reason, for such a simple software, you'd think it'd be a bit like lighter.
What version are you on?
Probably the latest, because
right,
what Adobe
Cloud,
does.
have you?
Yeah, what
Adobe Cloud.
Yeah, pay for the cloud. I'm gonna hover over it, see what it says. 2023, yeah. So
bang up to date, yeah, fair play.
what they do is they keep a bug in there so that you need to update it. They'll be like, there's a bug in there, and you'll update it just to get rid of that bug, and then the new version's got a new bug. So
well, they've got to have you come in back for something, haven't they?
Yeah.
Paying for more.
Well, I mean, if I stop paying for it, and they all go away, it's not like they'll still work. Like, I don't mind paying for it. It used to be, Photoshop used to be like thousands, I think, to buy straight off. Or After Effects was, definitely. So I just thought, I'm never going to pay like thousands for some software. So the fact that I have to pay monthly for it doesn't really bother me that much, because, even if it's at the end of it, you don't have any software, but who wants some software that's from like 20 years ago? It's not gonna function properly. You're not gonna be able to do much with it. So you might as well keep paying for an updated version. And if you run out of money, then you can just pirate it. So it doesn't matter, does it? No one's gonna get angry at you if you've got no money and you're pirating like 3DS Max or whatever. It doesn't matter.
So you use Flash. Do you embellish with anything else, like any other effect programs or anything?
After Effects. I use After Effects mostly. I use that more than Flash, actually.
No way.
And actually, most of the work happens in Photoshop, I think. When you're working in After Effects, most of the work happens in Photoshop. And then I use the whole Adobe, the whole Adobe lot. They're all in there, apart from Illustrator. I never really understood that.
Oh, Illustrator is a strange one. I have to use it for work sometimes. It's very odd. In terms of music, what do you use there?
Ableton Live.
Ableton, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm on Cubase, but I know it's a similar sort of
Well,
scenario.
I used to use Propeller Head. That one. What was it called? Reason. Propeller Head Reason.
That's
right. And then I started using Ableton, and I found that it was way more fun. Ableton has a just much nicer, more fun workflow. For some reason, they have this idea that you want to be like wiring everything together with these little virtual wires, and it gets really just like exhausting when you've got all this. I know it's like simulating a real rig or whatever, but it's too much.
Yeah, nice and simple. So what musical equipment have you got? Obviously you've got guitars in the background there. What sort of MIDI arrangement have you got for your playing in, or do you not?
Not much. This one. I got this one. That's
Is that the drum
scenario? It's like a digital, a virtual MPC. Where it's got no. It's just a controller, but you can turn Ableton into like an MPC with a few presets. That's good. Little keyboard. This is not a MIDI keyboard, but that's a Casio keyboard from like
Casio.
Yeah. I like this. This is good for actually. I just keep this by the side of my computer for like when I'm trying to work out a scale or something. I can just be like, oh yeah, no, it's that. I'll just. And I have a analog synth as well, but it weighs. It's huge and it weighs a lot, and there's no space for it because I got a printer down there, so I had to move it out of the room. But big sort of fake Moog, like it's supposed to be a Moog, but it's Behringer. It's like a knockoff, but it sounds almost exactly like a 1970s analog Moog synth.
So it's Moog, is it? I always thought it was Moog.
Well, I used to I used to say Moog, and then people would be like, actually, I think you'll find it's pronounced Moog. So,
Swats.
yeah. So I just, yeah, I think it's Moog. But then someone will probably be like, actually, it's Moog. Actually, it's Moog.
Muog. Is it
Moog.
Muog?
Yeah.
Fair play. Have you ever lost a project or something you thought was ace due to a tech crash or indeed your own memory? Have you ever lost something
Yeah.
that was ace?
Yeah, loads of times. I used to like, I've got two. Okay, so one time, halfway through a project, I noticed my computer was having some technical issues, and it was due to the fan. So I needed to buy a more powerful fan for my computer. So I did, and I wired it in, and I put one wire. It was one of those ones where the fan is the power supply. So it wasn't the fan; it was the power supply. There wasn't enough power to power my hard drives. I had a bunch of hard drives in there, so I got a more powerful one, put it in. I'd wired something in wrong, and I turned my computer on, and I heard a bang, and two hard drives blew up at the same time and actually started smoking, and they had all my work on, and I hadn't updated. I hadn't backed up for like 6 months. And
so what did you lose? Actual old episodes of animations you made, or a current one?
I lost masters of old animations. I lost a project I was working on. I lost music, which I can't ever recreate. I was working on a Flash cartoon, of which I lost half of because I had uploaded some of it to the cloud, like it was good. Google Drive, but I wasn't like using Google Drive very much at that point. I would occasionally back stuff up, or I would send it to myself, because they were just Flash files, so they weren't that big. But and I even sent my hard drive off to like a professional company to see if they could restore anything from it. And what they managed to do was build. They actually managed to get a list of all the contents of the hard drive, so I could see all the stuff that I lost. And then they also had.
And that's all they give you.
No, they gave it. They gave me this. They said this is what we can do, and they gave me the contents, and then the chance that they could revive that file, and each one was like 1-2%.
Oh no.
And so with that, I just kind of sort of gave up and got my hard drive back. It would have cost me like £1,000 to restore it, because it was like a professional, like, FBI, not FBI, whatever the English one is, MI5 like level of hard drive restoration. Like if I was some jewel thief and I had all my plans on a hard drive which I'd tried to destroy, well, they'd be the sort of people that had come in to fix that hard drive so they could find all my plans and
is this a coded way of saying that you are a jewel thief?
We don't know, because the hard drive, I managed to successfully destroy the hard drive, so
cheeky. How have you improved over the years? And I know that's an almost impossible question to answer, but what extra skills have you woven into your creations when you first started to where you are now? If you look back, do you think, oh shit, that would have been better with this?
Delivery, like the delivery of lines. Like I've managed to work out that like there's a certain way of capturing a tone. I think maybe describing the tone that I'm supposed to say something in, because what I see often in quite amateur animation is something that I have experienced myself, which is a line that was definitely funnier in my head than it was when I delivered it. And I'm not saying that the line isn't funny. I'm just saying that sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the delivery of a line over the line itself. And so actually managing to deliver a line the way it was intended is something that I've definitely improved. And the only way you can tell is that when you listen back to something, it is how you imagined it in your head. And also, like, it's even harder to direct someone when you've got a specific delivery in mind, and then the delivery comes out completely different because that's been interpreted. And you just think there's only one. And when you read it, you're just like, there's only one way you could say that. But then you give it to someone else, and they say it in a completely different way, and you're just like, So I think not only is it delivery of a line, but it's also writing stuff which is not dependent on a specific delivery. Like, so, you know, there's a tone to like The Simpsons, for example, and if those lines were delivered by a different set of people in a different situation, they wouldn't land the way they do. So, like, that's definitely something I've realised that I'm better at than I used to be. And just in general, like with animation, when you're an early animator, you don't pay attention to like positioning characters so it's easy to animate something from that position. It'll just be like, you know, if a guy's gonna pick up a telephone or something, obviously modern reference there, picking up a telephone. Does anyone even pick up a telephone anymore off a hook? But yeah.
Oh yeah.
If a guy's going to pick up a telephone, put him right next to the telephone so it's easy to do. Don't put him across the room so he has to like change. I don't know.
I know what you mean.
You plan ahead with where you position things, and it makes things a lot easier. Or at least work out the best way to get the character from there to there without having to do some sort of, like, I used to think that was some sort of high level like animator thing, and then I realized, I watched some professional animation and I realized they've cut it down into so many little chunks that each chunk itself is not that daunting when it comes to it.
Well, it's bite size, isn't it? It's the same with any learning process or whatever. You cut it into small chunks. That's exactly how I do it with storyboards, and presumably you do storyboards.
Yeah,
on that basis,
better storyboards as well. That's another thing. Better storyboards, but I think positioning characters so that that you're not cutting corners. Because I used to cut corners, and you can see it. Like if you're skipping, if you're somehow covering something up so that you don't have to animate it more complicated, then I think it's quite obvious. And I noticed that when I see like other animators who, you know, inexperienced animators, they might cover something up so they don't need to animate it. And I think there are other ways to, like, you know, get to the result quicker rather than actually obscuring part of the image so you don't have to, like, you don't have to animate it. For example, if there's like someone talking and you can't be bothered to do all the lip sync, you hide their mouth behind something. It's just like, it's very obvious.
Yeah, also good for lazy people, that. I mean, I find myself falling into that category many a time. But hey-ho. So that's how you've improved. You haven't said much there about your visuals. Is that something that sits lower on your priority? Obviously, the delivery is a great one, and
the movement's always more important than the visual to me. The movement is essential. I think there's a satisfaction in animation that's constantly moving or has some sort of. I never think of animation as a bunch of still frames. To me, that, like, you know, when it's like some really well drawn anime doesn't move very much. There's something really dissatisfying about that. I'd rather watch badly drawn anime that moves well than well drawn anime that doesn't move at all.
No, it makes sense.
I don't know. I don't really watch a lot of anime, but I noticed that in anime there'll be like a really well drawn scene, but the only movement is like, and like the characters moving, and they don't even move their heads. Like they move, but it's just the mouth. They don't even move the chin. It'll just be like. Like you can without having any skill at all, you can make that look better by just moving the shoulders a bit, or moving or
just the chin.
Yeah, but you know they want to make it cheaply and quickly. So I just think movement in general is more important than the straight up visual.
Okay, but clearly you're a lot better now than when you started in all.
Yeah, I used to. I was really inspired by South Park, the fact that they could draw something so badly and still make it funny. But at the same time, so I would make stuff that would like emulate South Park in the early days, and I'd be like, why does mine look worse? But how do you make it look bad, but in a different way? Like it looked too clean and it looked too flat when I made it. And even though South Park looked bad, there was still something kind of well composed about it. There was still, the scenes were actually well structured as well.
Completely.
So that was something that I didn't even realize until I started actually putting scenes together, that it's important to frame it well, and you can't just draw loads of crap stuff and put it together. But if it moves, if it constantly moves, it's forgiving in some way. If there's constant movement and it's consistent as well, then I think it's forgiving, and you can get away with a lot worse drawings if you're going to do that.
I know what you mean. I could never say that my animation is well drawn because I am not a good artist, but I know for me it's idea, and I get by on idea alone, and maybe the songs, but I don't mean to put this as a negative on your stuff, on your early stuff, because would you say that you're a really great artist?
No, not at all. I'm not good at like I can't draw people very well. I think.
Me neither.
But, and I don't mind. I can put them together. I've noticed that like my problem when drawing people is proportion. Like I draw it very badly at first, and then I have to go over it again and be like, I can see what's wrong with it, but just drawing a person, like a character, a figure, to me is however many times I've done it, I never seem to get any better at it. I still draw figures quite badly, like a cave painting. And sometimes I actually look at cave paintings and I think, they're still better at drawing figures than me, so. But that's not an issue if you draw everything in tiny little bits, because I can make a head look really good if I go into Photoshop and move the eyes around. But the first time I draw it, it's going to look bad. And in terms of cartoon style, I don't really draw that very well. So I think there's a way of, I definitely have improved in that sense, because I used to just draw hands as just like little circles, like little semicircles. I just thought, well, South Park does it. They get away with it. That was my
I refer back to your. This is not a dig in any way, shape, or form. What I'm saying is your first salad fingers, right? It was very basic. The idea is amazing, but your animation was, it's better than mine now, but it's like that. And now I look at your ones now, and they're like 50 times better, aren't they?
Yeah,
so much smoother.
I used to think that like having every element separate. Like, this is a problem with Flash as well. Like, I think this is much easier in After Effects. If you've got all these, this bit's separate and this bit's separate and this bit's separate, the problem is when you want the character's hand to be there, how do you do that? Because this has changed, it's 3D, so this has actually been skewed. So, like, it used to just be like, everything used to be like that, and it'd be like, if someone was holding something, they'd be up there, and then if they needed to go over there, then they'd have to be like that. And so
yeah, I know what you mean.
So what I realized is like it is so much easier rather than trying to like change the shape of that. It's so much easier to just draw the in-betweens, and then go to the result. But at the time I didn't even realize like that was a thing. I just thought it didn't occur to me that you could take this out of the frame a few times, like have a few frames and then draw it later. And then just like sketch the in-between bit. I just did not occur to me at all. I just thought everything had to be on a path, like a flash tween.
I know exactly what you mean. I've been through that same pain myself, and it'd be interested in a way if there was some sort of like guide for new people who come across Flash, so that they could take all that pain away straight away with tips from people like yourself and me.
Well, I think most people don't animate in chunks, like they don't construct a body in chunks the way I do. They actually just draw in poses because they're probably better at drawing poses. I'm not very good at drawing poses, so yeah.
No, me neither.
That's the thing.
Go on, sorry.
I was going to say when you get inspired by South Park, you just kind of look at what they do and kind of go, well, that's all I even, if I could make it look half as good as they do and it looks bad, then I'm all right. And so you just, And then it comes to a moment when you realize that it would be so much more effective if I could just like have a free movement rather than one being stuck to this rigid kind of like puppet format. And if you get to that point and you've never approached it before, you might just be like, well, I'm still going to keep the puppet format and just enjoy the fact that it looks bad. But then there's a bit in your brain that'll be like saying, it'd look better if you just learnt that one little thing. It'd look better.
Yeah.
And so you gotta learn it.
You got to do it. Let's move on to just a little bit about fans. Do you respond to fans at all? I mean, do you reply to your comments on any channels?
Yeah, but sometimes like sometimes I do. It depends. I change my mood changes. Sometimes I'll just be like, how dare they twat say that thing, but then other times I'll be like, you can. There's a lot. I don't get a lot of negative comments actually about my work. The negative comments will be about something completely unrelated to my work, like the fact that I paid for a blue tick on Twitter recently. That pissed so many people off. Like I didn't do it because I like Elon Musk or I like Twitter. I did it because I don't want to. I advertise on Twitter. I gotta be visible, and Anyway, I'm not happy about it at all, and I wish I didn't have to buy it, but I did, and I don't know if it's benefiting me in any way. But the amount of people who they'll just be like they hate me now because I did that, and that's
sod off.
Yeah, just fuck off. So I'm really tempted to reply to each one of them, and then I just think, well, what am I doing, wasting my energy? They've decided on their little thing they've got. It's just people are they just want to find something, but it's never like insults against my work, like. But and in terms of fan, if someone's made a point and it's a question, then I'll answer it. Unless it's been answered or it's really easy to find out. Like if someone writes, where are you from? Something, I'll be like, well, you could just Google that. You can find that. But if it's a question I can actually answer that they can't find, then I will do. But sometimes it'll just be like someone will just say something funny and I'll try and say something funny back,
Yeah, no, cool.
But then there's crazies and
there's a lot of those. Yeah. A lot of crazies.
Yeah, people that have got some people that say they want to hurt me and stuff. And
really?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a step further than any shit I've had, but that's bad.
But they want to hurt me because they've imagined something.
Oh yeah. Yeah, don't reply to any of that shit.
Yeah, you don't reply to that.
No fuel to that fire. Do you take on any feedback, or do you just follow your own path or thoughts for your creations? I.e., does any comment anywhere sometimes spur an idea for you that you then go back and say, "Oh, thanks, that's give me an idea."
Kind of. Not in my creative my own world. There's like stuff that I do that's in my world, like salad fingers, and there's no feedback to be had there really, because it's like all I'm doing is I'm exploring my own mind really, and no one else is in there, so they couldn't really correct. They'd be like, actually, I don't think this is in his character. Like, someone might say, oh, this is a bit out of character for salad fingers.
Oh, sod off.
And it's just like, well, he's my character. I just haven't got to this part of him yet. But in terms of like those animations where I mess with like the news, sometimes I do one where I take often a world leader or a monarch or something, and then I use AI to change the mouth and do a new voice. Someone might be like, oh, you should do one for Xi Jinping or something, talking to that guy. And actually someone said you should do one talking to that guy in Parliament or whatever. It was the Chinese equivalent of Parliament, where they took that guy out and they ejected him, and someone suggested that, so I did it, and it was a successful video. I think a few people suggested it, so if there's one person thinking they should get credit for that, then you can share it with the other 20 people who suggested it. But it was a good suggestion. I took it on. So occasionally I will take a suggestion like that. But when it comes to ideas for salad fingers, then not really. It's very unlikely that someone will suggest something that I want to use.
Basically, you're saying that they can't out-weird you.
Well, they can try, and sometimes they can. Sometimes they can, but then to me, it just comes across as illegible. And I have attempted, like, I have asked ChatGPT to give me like 10 new premises for Salad Fingers episodes, and it can't. It just can't. It tries, but all it can really do is give me sort of like cliched. I mean, all it's doing is looking at text that exists already, and I'm not really interested in ideas that exist already. So I'm more interested in ideas that, like, once ChatGPT starts to be able to train on stuff that's inside here, like once they work, there'll be like some modern version where it's like, what we've done now is we're training it on your head. We've sucked all the information out of everyone's head on Earth, and we're training it on that. Then maybe you'll get some more interesting ideas, but at the moment it kind of feels like bad fan fiction when you ask it for. It'll be like, write me a new episode of Salad Fingers. It'll be like, okay, Salad Fingers goes to a haunted theme park or something. You just be like, oh, Salad Fingers. Yeah, it'll just like horror cliches. So I'm sure there are people that could write great ideas for Salad Fingers, but
you don't want that. You don't want anyone taking your credit anyway. I imagine.
Well, what I see is, you see like there's some really talented writers in Hollywood. Imagine if you'd created Breaking Bad and then you asked someone to write you a script, and some of those scripts in Breaking Bad are great, and you just think, well, the original guy didn't write all of them. So like, there's clearly great talent. And I used to think that about like The Simpsons as well. Like, they've had like 130 writers or something. It's like, how's there 130 people who can? It just feels like one person's sort of like humor, but there's so many people that you can find that can also do that humor. It's like, what if there was a big budget in Salad Fingers? Is it possible I could find like all these people that could think of the same sort of ideas?
Is there another you out there?
Yeah, there's probably loads.
Yeah.
But they're not giving it away for free.
No, certainly not. You mentioned the news hasn't happened yet, and it was a question I actually written down for the tech section, which was, it's a different style to your standard animations, obviously, because it's live video animations.
Yeah.
Easier or harder than Flash stuff?
Harder. Because
a lot of different technical challenges, or?
Oh, not technically. Technically, it's just a ball ache, because what I have to do is I have to take the footage that the footage of me right now, and then I put it into a thing called Mocha for AE, and what you do is you highlight this part of the face, and then you track it. You set it tracking. That can take two or 3 minutes. And then what you have to do is then bring your footage in, and you have to stabilize it, and that'll take 2 or 3 minutes. And then you have to save that, and then bring it back in, and then there's just so many like processes in there that, and then the actual tough part of that is getting the color. Like,
I know
my face
matching.
is not, it's not the same color, and then there'll be a shadow here or something on the actor that I'm putting it on. So I have to create that shadow for every, I've got to track it, and there's just a lot of like, and also at the same time, unlike Flash, you can't just press play and it plays. You have to press play, and then it'll be like building.
Yeah, frustration, no doubt. The shit's on.
What I love about Flash is it plays back instantly. Like, there's no rendering or anything; it just plays. So you can see what you've drawn straight away and what you need to change. So that's the only thing is, it's really time consuming editing video compared to drawing in Flash. But also at the same time, it seems like it's something I can do quicker if I want to. But I don't know. It's hard when you do it. When you're not doing it, it seems like it would be easier. But when you're doing it, it's not. Everything's the easiest. The easiest thing is always the thing you're not doing, I've found. The other thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's all right. I'm writing it now, but the easy bit starts soon because I'm just going to storyboard it. And then the storyboard is like, hate storyboarding, but the easy bit's coming because then I get to draw it. And it's always the easy bit. It's always the bit that's in front of you.
Yeah.
But in terms of writing it, it's probably harder because, everyone's tried to make fun of the news before. So
that's fair. It's something I've never touched on. for those very reasons, I think it would be bloody difficult to do. So fair play for you for blasting that out. They're bloody funny.
Actually, one of the first things that I ever did with my friend Christian, Devo, Salad Fingers, is what we used to do in about 1997 when I got a video camera. We would point the video camera at the TV and we would mute the TV and we would flick through the channels on cable, like find some, we had like some loads of crappy channels like Granada Men and Motors and Bravo. Do you remember those channels on the
Yes, I do.
back in the day? And we'd just find some old crap and we would just dub it in real time using our own voices. It'd be like, okay, I'm the woman, you're the man, let's go. And then we'd just press record and we would come up with a new soundtrack for it. And that is basically the start of my obsession with like redubbing things. Like that was, it all started there. And
You've obviously then watched Whose Line Is It Anyway, because they do that thing, don't they?
That was where the idea came from, I think,
Yeah,
because around the time they had a thing called Film Dub, and it was just, and that's probably what inspired us to do it back in the 90s.
Yeah, I think it's a quality idea, whoever does it, and I think you do it very well.
Oh, and Adam and Joe show. They had they had the thing where they would cut their mouths out and put it on Star Wars characters.
That's right.
And they would make really stupid little Star Wars sketches, and they were always really good as well.
I know, I enjoyed those. Yeah, especially me as a Star Wars fan. Yeah, I love that sort of shit. Bit on the current state of affairs. I love that you don't shy away from like weird shit and swearing. I do the same thing, right?
Love swearing.
Do you have anything to say on that? You love swearing.
Love swearing. I have no intention of saying something that. I think swearing's powerful. I'm not interested in taboo words. Like I don't feel like, oh right, you're not allowed to say this word, so I'm going to say it a bunch. I don't think you're not allowed to say the F word. I just think it's quite funny when you make someone like King Charles say it. What was the other one? The other thing, swearing and whatever.
Weird shit.
Weird shit. Yeah, weird shit's great. I like it when it's unexpected. I like it when things suddenly go, like a darkness is revealed from something that didn't seem too dark in the first place. For example, like "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared." The first one where they cut into the cake and then it's like all guts inside the cake. I really like that kind of contrast. Like. The niceness of the
same thing. I know that one.
Yeah, the niceness of the cake, and then all of a sudden it's blood and guts. Like that's gross, to me that it gives me a little nice feeling, like a nice little because it's not nasty. It's not like I also watch like a lot of horror films, and I don't get the nice feeling. Like you seen the film Antichrist? Have you seen that film?
I probably have, but it doesn't ring a bell because my memory's shit. So.
Okay, you don't forget this bit. If you've seen this film, you don't forget it. Willem Dafoe, right? And Charlotte Gainsbourg, I think it is. Yeah. They go to the woods, and then because they've whatever. Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but there's some chopping that happens. There's some chopping. There's some scissors, and there's some down chopping there. Yeah, chopping. Okay, you wouldn't forget that. When I saw that film, I didn't get that nice warm. This is weird and horrible and fucked up. I got kind of like a no, I don't like this sort of feeling. Like so. There's a fine line, and I think there's humor. I think humor needs to be involved, and if humor isn't involved, then can be quite sickening. I don't know. It's really hard to tell what I like and what I don't, because on paper you'd think I'd like that, and I watched that film and I really didn't like it, and I was happy when it ended.
Well, what you're looking for, I'm just guessing on this. You're looking for the reaction. So I'll give you an example, right? A lot of my stuff is just done so I can. I'm sending you in this direction, but I actually take you in that direction, and I'm looking for that shock for you, and the what the shit moment. Is that the same for you there?
I don't know. I'm not really that interested in what people are going to think of it. I just want to. Sometimes, I think I'm just trying to recreate a feeling that I got when I was a kid. When
you had your guts cake.
Yeah, the guts cake. Another one I remember distinctively. When I was a kid, I went into this shop. There used to be a shop in Doncaster, and they used to sell video games, like import video games. I used to love those shops. Like they would be full of like weird stuff from Japan and America, import games and nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
And you could watch, like, there was an arcade machine. There was 2 or 3 arcade machines in there. You could watch other kids play them, the kids that had enough money to play on the arcade machines. And there's one kid playing Mortal Kombat, and I'd never seen it before. And he did the death move where one guy just pulled another guy's head off, and there was like this, the spine was like wiggling around. Yeah. And I remember just seeing that, and it just did something to me, like the feeling that, like, it was like, it's very different from watching someone get hurt, because there's no, you don't feel bad because it's not real, and it doesn't seem that real, but it's really powerful and exciting and kind of funny at the same time. It was kind of funny how the spine was sort of wiggling around when he pulled the head off, and that I don't know, that did something to me. And
did you make that like creepy little sound, like
yeah,
that serial killer sound? I love that. Moving on from that scenario about weird shit, obviously that relates to today's environment, especially in relation to censorship. Presumably, you were hit by the adpocalypse on YouTube. I massively was.
Yeah, and it's really hard to tell who. You know, it's interesting because people will be like, fucking YouTube, ruining it for everyone. And then you just think, well, they're not doing it. I mean, it's not them. They don't mind. It's the advertisers that mind. So it's like advertisers ruining it for everyone. And you go, well, now the advertisers don't give a shit. They just want money.
That's
so who's ruining it for the advertisers? And you realise it's people. So it's people ruining it for everyone. Because
bastards!
It's the people that'll be like, how I'm not going to buy Pepsi anymore because it was on a video where they said questionable things about this subject, which I disagree with. And Pepsi would be like, whoa, hold, we'll take our ads off that video. In fact, we'll take our ads off every single video which has got anything questionable in it. How about that? And the people are like, yeah, that's good, actually. So we can buy Pepsi and not have to worry about what they think. So you can't blame YouTube, can't blame the advertisers. You can just blame people. Whiny people who've got nothing better to do than to try and control everything based on their like very narrow level of tolerance to the world. So can't blame anyone.
It hit you hard though. These people, these activist bastards. It hit you.
No, I'm sneaky when it comes to content, because if you watch Salad Fingers, the majority of Salad Fingers episodes contain nothing. Well, this is back then. It was violence, swearing, nudity, hate speech, and Salad Fingers doesn't really contain any of those. There's violence. I mean, he puts his finger through a nail, but it's not considered violence under their description. It could be considered self-harm, I guess.
Self-harm, yeah.
But that he puts his finger through a nail, but then again, there's nothing else in that episode that he does. He doesn't swear. He doesn't get his dick out or anything. You know, he's.
Have you ever, on that subject, quick sidestep? Have we ever seen Salad Fingers' dick, and what would it be?
Well, yeah, I'd suggest doing a few Google searches. I haven't drawn it, but
no,
someone else.
They exist.
Yeah. There's some of them are very good. And he is strapping. Like he's got a whopper. He's gonna be splitting some people open with that.
He's got a monster.
Yeah. So no, like, yeah, obviously I have been hit by it, but the problem is people just whining. That's the issue. It's not you can't blame anyone but the people.
That's where it came in. It reminded me or related to that question I asked earlier about feedback from fans and stuff. I used to always respond to the negative comments, right, and people moaning about my stuff, and then after a while I thought, what's the point? It's just a never-ending cycle of hate. Yeah, so I gave up on them and only respond to the positive ones now, right? I wish that would happen in respect of YouTube itself, but it doesn't, does it? It's those activists that then drive people like me and you away, and I don't like that.
Well, going back
I don't know
to
what I was trying to get at, but
going back to negative, yeah, I see what you mean. Like the negativity is what drives companies to make a change rather than positivity. And I was going to say on on the subject of negative comments, if I see lots of negative comments on a video that I've made, then it means that it's broken out of my sort of fan base and it's gone into a different, in more of a mainstream exposure. So to me, that's a very positive thing. On my Instagram, I've got one video where I edited, what's he called, Prince Philip's voice, and he's just he's there. There's a kid. Basically what I did was I edited it to say exactly what he was saying, just a little bit stronger. And he's looking at kids' artwork and he's like, why, he's a fucking idiot, this kid. Why can't he write properly or whatever? And all the comments, it seems to have broken way out of my sort of scope, because the comments are like, how dare you say this? You should have some more respect. He's done so much for, it's just like, and then there's a lot of other people going, hey, no, actually, he's a horrible person. He said all this. And just the level of hate, the amount of people as well that say this is fake. There's no way he actually said that. It's fake. It's like, no shit. No shit, it's fake. But it just shows. And I was looking at it yesterday, I was thinking, I don't want to respond to any of these people, and I don't like being insulted like this, but this has clearly got some reach to it. If people need to point out that it's fake, it's one of my videos, like it's definitely not my fan base here talking. So there's something positive about negative comments, and that's you've broken away from your own, unless they're actually your fans and you've pissed them off, then
yeah, try not to do that.
Yeah, they shouldn't be pissed off if they've, unless you've changed direction suddenly.
No, fair play. Which platform has been the most successful for you, do you think?
YouTube, really, but that's just because I've been there the longest. But it's amazing how much success you can have in a short amount of time on TikTok if you play the algorithm right. It's the problem is that it doesn't actually translate to any real world success. Like, I uploaded a clip from my new video. My previous cartoon, it was called Plastic Hand. On YouTube, it sits at 270,000 or something. But I put one clip of that on TikTok, and it got 5.5 million views.
Whoa!
So 5.5 million people have seen a very small part of that cartoon, and I don't know if any of them went on to look for the whole cartoon. But it's weird because 5.5 million views should be. You should be on bloody Graham Norton or something with that kind of exposure. No change in the real world at all for me. Like, I remember back in 2004 or something, you got 5,000 views and you'd have, like, the local papers ringing you up. And you'd have, like, people would be talking about you. Today, 5 million views, and everyone's just like, gone past it. Didn't even get a single email saying, oh, I saw you on TikTok today. 5.4 million people saw it, and not one person emailed me to say, like, back in the day, I would have had like a whole inbox if it was 10,000 views.
Yeah.
So it's like you get all these views, but it doesn't translate to anything in the real world.
So TikTok, not worth it then?
It's a weird thing because you can be huge on TikTok, but insignificant in every other aspect. Like, you see some people on TikTok who've got 1 million followers. Like, 1 million followers on YouTube is a huge deal. But on TikTok, then you click their Instagram and they've got like 3,000 or something. You think, it really is self-contained, and it's very entertaining. I got to say, it's quite entertaining to flick through TikTok. But
I've kind of avoided TikTok because I think it's basically Chinese spyware, and so I've never wanted to go on it. Should I?
Here's the thing. The difference between Twitter and TikTok right now, because Twitter has installed a For You page on, and they got that from TikTok, or at least I think TikTok invented the For You page. And what it does is it's an algorithm that watches it doesn't watch what you like or what you click or what you follow. It just watches what you stay on. If you flick through videos on TikTok, and this is interesting because when you first install TikTok, you're going to get the worst garbage you've ever seen. Kids with that like broccoli haircut, saying bro a lot and talking like gangsters and all that crap.
Yeah, but that is crap.
But when I open TikTok, I get stuff about old technology, recipes and stuff. Like stuff, basically, you just flick through and it pays attention. Like, it really pays attention. If you flick past something, it kind of assumes that you're not interested. and then it might try again. But if you flick past every video except ones that contain ice cream, it will notice and it'll keep giving you ice cream videos. And it just kind of builds up a profile on you over time. The Chinese spyware thing, I think, honestly, I think that might be propaganda, because all of these social media apps gather data on you, and I don't think TikTok is any worse than any of them. I think they're all the same, but I think it is propaganda, because TikTok doesn't censor in the same way that YouTube and Instagram do. So, you know, the government, I think American government, are especially annoyed at TikTok because they don't censor and they don't deliver the same sort of like streamlined overall message. You can find things that the government might not want you. I don't know. It almost seems like a conspiracy theory, but someone demonstrated that if you searched for like on Google or on YouTube for like what's going on in France right now, you know, like all the rioting, you got very, very little. You know, you didn't get a lot about there. But if you search for it on TikTok, you get on the street look at what's actually going on, and it's really quite striking, the difference. And I just think that's one example. But I don't really want to get into that. But at the same time, I think TikTok, once you've used it for a while and you start flicking through all the stuff and you get to your core interest, I think you can find it far more engaging than flicking through Twitter. So the difference is, like, Twitter works out what pisses you off and gives it to you on your For You page, whereas TikTok works out what you actually like and gives that to you. And so I find it's quite addictive as well. Once it gets to your tastes, then you can just flick through and just be endlessly amused.
And therein lies the issue for an animator. That's the distraction I probably don't need.
I think TikTok is also very difficult to resist if you struggle with attention issues like I do. TikTok is for you.
Okay. I think I would struggle with it, but would it be worth it for me from an animation song perspective?
Putting your own stuff on TikTok is like there's a learning curve to it, and you've got to realize that it's an attention economy, and if you've even like 5 seconds of context at the start of a video can be removed, like from an animator's perspective, then that ruins the skit or whatever. Say you've got a thing that you've made, but then you will see other people upload your video with that removed and without the bit that you like, yet everyone's going for it, and you just think, what's going on? Why do people skip past it? It needs to get straight to the point, like straight to the point, or it's going to fail on TikTok. There's so many like levels of nuance to the strategy of uploading your stuff on TikTok, and once you've cracked it, you feel quite powerful. You're like, wow, if I want 2 million views on a TikTok, I know exactly what I need to do, and it might be I might need to sacrifice some of my own creativity to do such a thing. So
it's something I toyed with in my head. It's just whether I can be arsed to do it. The Chinese spyware part is in the back of my head. Plus, is it worth it? Is the other side of it.
I'd say the Chinese spyware bit is kind of nonsense, really, honestly. Okay. They didn't actually prove anything when they did that hearing in the American Congress. All they proved that a bunch of 80-year-old people have no idea what technology is. And I don't think I'm pretty sure that TikTok is not gathering any more information than Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube is. It's just people are fearful of China.
No, that's fair enough. Okay, just one last main section before I get onto some quick fire questions in the Koit zone. What else would you say you're really good at? I.e., if you hadn't hit animation, what direction could you have gone?
I'm really good at balancing things. Like I can balance things on my nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Begin with your guitar. No, don't. But this is the skill.
My room's too small,
That's a
but
bit
like,
chinny.
I can actually balance things like maybe I could be in the circus. Like I'm quite good at balancing things on my nose or chin. So could be in the circus. Who knows? But I'm not. I can't do backflips and stuff. So maybe not.
But if they wanted a chin or nose balancer, you'd be quids in.
Yeah, or like kick-ups and stuff. You know when you're playing football?
Oh, yeah.
Not very fast and not very strong when it comes to football, but I could do like kick-ups and stuff, like little skill stuff like that. So
Wow.
maybe some sort of stupid little balancing thing. Maybe I could be in what's that thing where they like throw things over the shoulder and it lands in the bin or whatever, and then they do like a montage of them, and it's like a big YouTube series.
Oh, I know the ones you mean. But they take
maybe
1,000 goes to get something right.
Yeah, I'm quite good at throwing a bottle into a bin from a distance like that. I could maybe be on that.
But you've got no other what you would class as avenues. You could have gone like music or anything like that.
No, I'm not good enough at music. Like I've been doing music for as long as I've been doing animation, and I haven't improved at the same rate. And I haven't like I just can't. It's just different. It's like I know that I can do music, but I don't think that I can change. Like I don't think I can do music that's different from everyone else. Whereas I do with animation, and I can think of new ideas in animation. Whereas I can't really think. I think it's maybe just more people have done music. They've done everything. Like, you know, people are so bored of the music theory and stuff like that. They start using microtones and all these other like polyrhythms and all these weird things that are advanced just because music's kind of like everything's been done so much. They want to find something new. So yeah. I don't think music. No.
No, fair enough. See, for me, it's the other way around. Potentiality with music, I got so much more room to grow. With animation, I think there's a ceiling, and I'm almost down in terms of my skill.
I think it's with animation. I'd just walk through life, and I'd be like, "Well, there's I could take that and I could put that in an animation. You know, just a little scenario that's happened or a little thought I've had." Whereas in music, I don't walk through life going, that confrontation I just had, I could turn that into some music. Like, and I never think that. That fear I just had, I could turn that into some music. Because if I did, I'd just be like, well, I bet someone's done that much better. And yeah, I think it's just that more people do music. Honestly, I've always thought that like not that many people do animation, so there's so much more to do.
No, that's fair. That is also very, very true. A really big sidestep here, or segue, supernatural. Do you have any stories, any weird shit that's happened to you?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing, not even remotely. I'd love to believe, but I'm a massive skeptic. I'm more inclined to believe in extraterrestrials than I am in like spiritual stuff.
Which was my next question: UFOs and aliens, yes or no?
Love it, I love it, but I'm you know that one piece of footage from the U.S. Army or whatever where they're tracking that device,
the Tic Tacs and that.
Yeah. In my head, like the rate that artificial intelligence is improving at, I think almost suggests that we will have some sort of advanced technology that can do that and explain that very soon. I don't know how, though. It exists already. That's what gets me. It's like, how do these? It just seems so unlikely that something would come from another galaxy just to spin around our Earth. Like, why would they do that? Like, it just seems so. Like,
well, the question I would put to you.
Like, there's no way it would get here. Like, they must have sent... If it was going to get here from another galaxy, they would have had to set off before, you know, like in prehistoric times before it'd even get here, even if it was just light. So, like...
There is that school of thought, but there's also the other one, which is to say, you're thinking now, like a human in 2023.
Yeah.
In 1,000 years, what technology could we have that could do...
Yeah,
I
think
not necessarily travel, but could bend space and all that shit.
Yeah. You know, there's like wormholes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And but I think if that's the case, then why can we see it? Like you know, these. If it's 1,000 years ahead, then we're not tracking it, are we? With our like the F whatever plane was tracking this thing, and it's like, we got it, and our radar, there it is, and it's spinning around. It's like 1,000 years ahead, and you can bend space-time, and you can go through wormholes. Then why are you visible?
I got an answer to that, right? Which is to say, we know chimpanzees exist on this planet, right? Mm-hmm. Chimpanzees can see us, but they can't fathom us. Yeah, they don't know the technology in your pocket. We're thousands of years ahead of chimpanzees.
But
you know what I mean?
But see, we coexist with chimpanzees. We're talking about something that like has to break what we know about space and time just to get here. Like, why would they break all those rules with space and time to get here to be like just slightly better than our technology when they get here? Because when we're seeing these things, it's definitely ahead of us. Like these things, you know, when we talk about this tic tac spinning around.
Yeah.
But I'm more likely to believe that someone has, on Earth, humans have created some amazing technology which they've tried out, and the US government doesn't know what it is. That seems to be more likely, but then again, it does seem that was shot in 2004, and it does seem like some technology from like 2040 or something. Like, I think we are going to get to that technology, but I don't think it's going to take 1,000 years. I think it might take, 150 years or something for us to get to. But then again, with artificial intelligence, who knows? Like, because you've got like the top scientific minds in the world, like 6 months ago, were saying there's no way artificial intelligence will get to a general level of artificial intelligence by 2040. And then ChatGPT 4 comes out, and all of a sudden, top minds in AI are saying, whoa, this is getting too good, too quick. So who knows? When it comes to UFOs, I really want to believe. I'd love to believe, but I just think there are too many people out there who are interested in faking things for clout.
Oh God, for money.
Yeah. I don't even know for money, just for clout, just for attention.
Well, there's that too.
Like a lot of these videos. Also, I follow a lot of these channels on Facebook because I am fascinated with them, the UFO channels, and it'll just be a fucking one of those like tinfoil looking balloons drifting across the sky, and everyone will be like, oh my God, this is incredible what we're seeing here. And it's just a wedding balloon. And it's just like, it's got to at least do something interesting in the sky I want to believe, but
No, that's fair enough. I'm strongly in the yes camp, but I just want the evidence now. You know what I mean? Not the evidence, but the answer, I would say.
That unidentified object shot down over Alaska, what was that? That disappeared so quickly.
Which one? The one in 18 something? Or?
No, like recently. Remember there was the Chinese spy balloon, and then then there was unidentified objects have been shot down over Alaska, and everyone's like, unidentified objects? What?
Well, if they find it, they ain't going to tell us, are they?
And they shut it down, and then it kind of came out a few weeks later that there was some like experimental weather balloons that some like university had made that it could have been them.
Yeah.
And they didn't release any footage from the airplane, from the plane shooting it down.
It's like another cover story.
Yeah, and it's like, well, come on, you built us up. This was really exciting, and then you built us up, and then there's nothing. And then all of a sudden, like, AI got more exciting, so everyone started thinking about that and stopped thinking about...
Exactly, the next shiny thing, mate. Always distracting.
But yeah, for a few weeks, they almost had us believe that we'd actually come in contact with UFOs, and then no, and
then bugger off. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go on to the last section, which is the quickfire section. You can put as much or as little time into these as you want to, but they are some silly, some sensible. But you are now entering the Koit zone. Koit zone. So the first question, chocolate or sweets?
Chocolate is sweets.
Yeah, is it? See, I put chocolate in a different category. Chocolate and then sweets. But which is your favourite? Chocolate or sweets?
Over lockdown, I discovered that I can no longer eat dairy, so sweets.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Lactose intolerant, yeah, the old classic. Oh, I'm pisser.
Yeah. I used to love chocolate though. It would be chocolate if I could.
And what was it? What was your weapon of choice in the chocolate department?
Kind of like to anything with peanut butter. Like it's got peanut butter involved.
Reese's
like
Pieces.
It. I liked the Reese's Nutrageous bar. I used to like that, although the chocolate wasn't that great. Aside from that, maybe something with caramel in it.
Ooh.
Chocolate and caramel.
Cadbury's caramel.
Yeah, Cadbury's caramel was pretty good. Actually, I think Galaxy caramel was a bit better.
Ooh, Galaxy Smooth.
Yeah.
Next one, night or day?
I mean, I'm always up at night, but day, I guess.
On that, night, is that when you do most of your animations?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Just because I don't sleep very well, so.
Okay, fair enough. Cheese, is it real?
I don't think so.
No, it's weird, isn't it, cheese?
Yeah.
Remember the old film Body Swaps, like Freaky Friday and vice versa?
Yeah.
If you were to swap with somebody for a day, who would it be?
Probably someone really fast at running. Usain Bolt. I want to be able to run fast.
And then where to?
Just
Where from?
just run. I just want to run. I just want to run fast without it tiring me out. Or someone who can jump really high. I don't know. Interesting. Like, what about someone who can do? Just for some reason it would be physical. Physical.
I was gonna say physical.
Some sort of physical ability that I don't have. Like, maybe someone who can play guitar really fast. Like one of those like classical, like proper classical guitarists who can play, like Bach and stuff. I want to do that with my fingers. Do you want to feel it and know what it feels like?
Yeah. Yeah. No, fair play. It's a good answer. Usain Bolt or a really fast guitarist.
Yeah.
Favorite mode of transport, and do you have a story pertaining to it?
Favorite mode of transport. Kind of like a ferry. I think quite like a ferry. I once was on a boat. It was a train. And I don't know if this is very common across the world, but I was traveling around in Europe and I was in Denmark and the train went onto a boat. And I didn't have any idea this was going to happen. I didn't go, I'm going to get the boat train. I just knew there was a train from Denmark to Hamburg, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I got on it. And then all of a sudden it was like, we're on a boat now. And you went upstairs and you were on a ferry. It was and there was a train in the ferry.
Yeah, that's weird.
And it was like, what I really like about it is the ferry's quite big, isn't it? So you've got a high up view and you can see all the water and it's just really pleasant. And so that ferries are good. Not like cruises though. I don't want to go on a cruise. That'd be like hell, I think, because you'd be trapped on it. Yeah, I want to get from A to B. I don't want to dick around.
No,
so a ferry. I really like a ferry.
It's a very good answer. And the last one. Who should I interview next? Could be on an animation topic or anything.
Is the Yorkshire Ripper still alive?
I don't think so.
No, because I'd really like to hear his side of things.
Yeah. Is there someone in the space, like similar to like you or me, weird shit that does animation that you know of that I haven't probably thought of yet?
You could. I don't know if Syriac would be interested.
I've messaged Syriac. Yeah.
He might not be interested though. Like it's like I just say yes to stuff like without even thinking about it. But I think some people are more careful about what they say yes to.
That's fair enough.
I assume he's more careful than me.
He is.
Or Tekka. Or Aphex Twin, or no, maybe Boards of Canada or Aphex Twin. Or you won't. But the thing is, you won't. So what's the point? Don't write them down. You won't be able to get hold of them. There's no way.
No, okay, fair enough.
they don't ever do that.
Tried.
Yeah. I think who would I be interested in hearing from?
Or who do you want to deliver pain to this process?
I don't know. I don't really follow animation that much. To me, I'm more interested in. It doesn't matter. Like animation is just the way of getting there. It's not necessary. If someone can do what I do or what I want to see with live action, then I like them as much as I like the animators. It's just the way of getting there.
Okay, it's all right. If no one springs to mind, then so be it. I will
Well, no
next
one
on my
sprung to mind, but someone might crawl to mind.
Ooh. Spider-Man, yeah? I'll see if I can get hold of him.
Yeah.
I'm going to write this Boards of Canada down, and I now consider it a challenge.
I'd say it was a difficult challenge to start with.
I like that.
If I was a betting man, I would put large sums of money on you never getting a reply from Boards of Canada.
That's fine. I won't take that bet.
Because there's Aphex Twin, there's Boards of Canada, the Square Pusher, and there's Autechre. They're all in the same sphere, although I think Autechre and Square Pusher are likely to do interviews, whereas Aphex Twin and Boards of Canada are not.
Cool. Well, I will try then. We'll see what happens.
I think Aphex Twin would actually be easier than Boards of Canada. I think Boards of Canada is impossible. I don't know what they do. I don't know where they are. All I know is that they made a whole bunch of music, and then in 2013 that they made an album, and that's the last time they've ever made an album. And I don't know how they're making any money because, Spotify. They're not.
Oh yeah.
How are they going to make any money? Like, they don't play live. Where are they? Why don't they come back? They made great music.
Cool. David, thank you ever so much for your time.
Yeah, cheers.
Really appreciate you saying yes to this. Is there anything you want to plug now? Anything you're working on? Any websites? Any music you want to flog?
Just
go for it.
Go and watch the last 2 things I've done. They're not getting huge amounts of views, apart from on TikTok, which doesn't matter, does it? Also, if you are skeptical of TikTok, I was too. But what I've found is that when it comes to wholesome content, as opposed to negative clickbaity content, I think they do it a lot better than Twitter and Instagram Reels, and those videos on Facebook are awful. I think it's got a bad reputation because it's popular with children, but once you get to actual content, you can find some of the best recipes as well. I've found on TikTok, like really good recipes. It's just weird. So I don't know why I'm plugging TikTok. Go on my TikTok if you want. But
that's what I was going to say. Your website, your stuff. I have seen Plastic Hand, by the way. I really enjoyed it. Saw it on Newgrounds, I think I saw that one. Yeah,
I just think there's a lot of negative stigma against TikTok, and I don't know why, because I quite enjoy it. Check my stuff out on YouTube, and because don't watch it on TikTok, because you'll only see like 20% of it, and and also there's no ad at the end of it, so I don't get any money.
Well, thank you ever so much for your time. Once again, I will put all the links to David's socials in the description, so go ahead and check all those out. Thanks for watching this episode. Much appreciated.
Cheers.
See you, everyone.
Thank you.
See you, mate.
See ya. See you later. Bye.
To watch other episodes of KoitCast, or indeed animations I've made, click the image top middle. Click the image top left to download some of my songs, and click the image top right to subscribe to my channel. And make sure you tick that notification bell so you never miss an upload.